My name is Diana Gichaga. I am the PFAN Gender Focal Point for East Africa, and I'm also a PFAN advisor specifically for Kenya. Seeking advisory services can be a very expensive affair, especially if you're seeking to have quality advisory services, leveraging on the experience of a particular advisor. What PFAN does is, through its networks of various advisors from across the region, it is able to select an advisor who reflects the specific sector experience you might require, pay for this advisor to actually work with your business one-on-one. So why I would encourage women-owned, led, and managed businesses to apply for PFAN is because you get access to this highly experienced resource, highly qualified resource. And I think this is always something that is important as an SME, how to ensure that you're getting the very best when it comes to supporting your business. Secondly, what I'd also like to highlight is PFAN advisors have been trained and in the aspect of how to incorporate gender lens into everything that they do, specifically with regards to helping SMEs become investor ready. So not only are you getting a PFAN advisor who has experience in a particular sector or in working with SMEs, you're also getting a PFAN advisor who has access to materials on how to incorporate a gender lens perspective into your business, and has been trained and is continuously upskilled in ensuring that this is something that they factor in. So part of the added advantage is PFAN advisors will be able to advise you in terms of how best to look at how you incorporate the gender lens into your business, whether it's from the supply side in terms of how you source your raw products or raw materials, or who you engage with in terms of how you're structured as an organization. So a gender lens that is looking internally into the organization and how it is structured, or in terms of your output and services, who is off-taking your services, how do you incorporate a gender lens into that? Is there an opportunity to do that? So we are able to undertake an entire review of the business process. The third thing I'll always say is, as much as we are focused on investor readiness, part of the benefit of going through this rigorous process with PFAN and the PFAN advisors is that allows an entrepreneur to really look at her business and understand it from her own perspective in terms of what does growth really look like? How am I thinking about resourcing it, not only from a capital perspective, but from a people perspective, from a physical assets perspective, and what does that mean in terms of how I as an entrepreneur can optimally run my business so that I am able to scale it and scale it in a sustainable manner. So this process, as much as it's investor focused, ensuring that you're getting investor ready, the benefit of it is, as a business owner, you actually get to have an objective, experienced third party help you look at your business from a very objective point of view, so that you're better able to understand how your business works, understand the sector within which your business works, and plan better in terms of being able to optimize the opportunities that are there while still mitigating the risks without necessarily compromising how large or how quickly your business can grow and scale. Some of the women-led and owned businesses tend to have challenges accessing sufficient capital to run their businesses, especially initially, before they've developed significant track record. Then what happens is the business tends to grow a little bit slower, and where someone is expecting to see huge milestones, if they compare to probably a male-led or owned business, they'll think, or they will find that the business has not hit those key milestones or in such a significant way. So it looks like the business is actually underperforming, when really the issue or challenge could be the access to that initial funding for them to be able to hit those milestones. So what I'd say is, part of the critical challenges for women-led and owned businesses is just being able to scale the businesses as fast as their counterparts, mainly because of that lack of access to sufficient or significant amounts of capital. Secondly, I think the due diligence process sometimes can be a bit skewed. The reason I say this, and we've even had the funders tend to admit to this, there's always a focus on risk mitigation when reviewing women-led or owned businesses as compared to other businesses where it's more about really understanding what the growth is and trying to see whether or not the ambition can be supported. So what tends to happen is that lens of looking at it from how am I mitigating for risks as opposed to also balancing it out and understanding how the growth can actually help the business means that access for women-led and owned businesses in terms of how they are undertaken through the due diligence process tends to be skewed towards identifying the risks and trying to mitigate the risks without necessarily putting as much focus on the potential for growth of the ambition of the business. So what tends to happen is they end up with smaller ticket sizes or more restrictive covenants or conditions that sort of tend to limit how quickly they can scale or how efficiently that they can scale. What we try and do is really see how we can potentially address these challenges while being very alive to some of the aspects that we are not maybe able to address directly. Having said that though, the opportunities I feel that are coming up are essentially understanding that investors are taking a closer look and trying to understand how do we incorporate a gender lens in terms of how we are reviewing the business opportunities. How do I incorporate a gender lens to understand why maybe a business has only hit certain milestones and not specifically others? Or how do I incorporate a gender lens to ensure that the terms and conditions of my financing are more relevant to the business and do not necessarily punish the business because it is women-owned or women-led? So the opportunities that I see are a more deliberate focus on incorporating gender lens into the process of investment and even thereafter in terms of the post-investment support. So this is actually a very good direction. And I think with time, we will start to see those processes start to incorporate some of those aspects that have been punitive to women previously. And then, of course, there's more capital being dedicated to ensuring that this sort of imbalance is actually addressed. So quite excited to also be seeing that happening. And so it's a wonderful progress on both sides because it's good to know the challenges. It's good to be aware of them, which I think is very important. And what happens is us being able to know that these are the challenges and actively start towards actively work towards addressing these challenges, whether it's through how we structure our agreements, how we allocate capital, how we provide financial reports support, which is what PFAN does, is actually a good step. So all in all, I think there are positive developments in the sector, and I can't wait to see what the future holds for women-led and owned businesses.